Hello, Science and Magic YouTube channel. My name is Amanda Levesque, and I'm so happy to have you here. Welcome to this video about surrendering your manifestation and the importance of surrender in the manifestation process. This is the fourth of 4 videos. I did a series at the end of the year in honor of the coming new year, and many of us are goal setting right now, so I thought it would be really relevant to offer this content. I actually filmed this particular live last week, and my internet was horrible, and it was super choppy, and I rewatched part of it, and I was like, I can't post this. It's just annoying. Like, I would have clicked out of it. So I'm redoing it. I'm surrendering in my own way. I thought it was pretty ironic that, that I was doing a video on surrender and I had to surrender my own desire for the video to be final and the video to be smooth. But I trust the process. I trust that this particular live stream is supposed to happen. So if you're tuning in, please do say hello and let me know where you're tuning in from. Let me know that you can hear me. And if my internet is choppy for whatever reason, please say so in the chat and I will attend to it as best as I can. I'm going to do a brief overview of the other 3 videos that I did, and they're all linked below in the description. So definitely I would revisit from video 1 all the way through video 4 in that order. It will make a lot more sense. I've gotten a lot of great feedback on those videos, and I hope that they're bringing you value. I really do. That's why I'm offering this. So step 1 is to establish who you are at your core, who you are at your center. I know that's a big ask. It's like, what's my heart? Who am I? Who is my spirit outside of my personality? What are my core values? And I call them essences. What's the elixir of me? And how do I emit that energy into the world from a place of my deepest truth? And I talk about that in video 1. And then from that place, from our core, from our heart, from our center, we establish what we want. And so we create specific conditions and the feelings of those conditions. This is about evoking clarity. And if we are creating from just the mind, just the personality, oftentimes our creations won't be satisfying. So taking some time, getting to your heart, letting from your heart flow the conditions that you want and how they make you feel, and then rehearse. Mental rehearsal, embodiment, practice becoming that version of you, practice wiring that version of you into your brain and body before external conditions show themselves. So this could be visualization, meditation. There's a lot of like yoga, embodiment practices that I work with clients on, and creating what I call a sacred vision script from that place. So literally writing a page or 2 of a meditation script of like what it is you're creating, whether it's your dream career, whether it's your dream relationship, your dream home, writing it, what it is, how it makes you feel, get specific, and then recording it as a meditation and listening to it as often as you can. The step 3, so as you do this, as you start to practice rehearsal, as you become the person to inhabit your sacred vision, things start to come true. It's just inevitable. It could be really, really fast within a period of days, or it could be 6 months down the road, a year down the road. If you stay the course, I promise things will start to manifest if you really, really practice. So step 3 is addressing limiting beliefs and self-sabotaging behavior as the proof of your manifestation comes into form. This is really important. I find that a lot of people self-sabotage. They don't identify with the manifestations that are coming forth, with the goodness that's coming forth, the abundance, the happiness, and they kind of freak out because we're designed to feel safe in familiarity. And if the nervous system doesn't feel safe, then it's going to sabotage or freak out. And this oftentimes happens at a subconscious level. So I talk all about that in video 3, about how to stop self-sabotaging, how to address limiting beliefs, how to work through them. And now here we are at step 4, letting go, surrendering, taking the grip on life, on what you want, and just loosening it and trusting that at its core, life is always unraveling in a way that is for your good, for the good of humanity. This, in my opinion, is the most difficult step for high achievers and high performers. And if you don't know, that's kind of the sweet spot of where I work. I work with self-identified workaholics. I work with typically the demographic who's really used to setting goals, to plowing through life and reaching those goals and reaching those milestones and hitting those benchmarks, but don't often feel a sense of longevity and the satisfaction that they experience from hitting those milestones. They're always looking for the next thing. So oftentimes my clients, they don't have a hard time manifesting. That's not the problem. The problem is feeling satisfied in the manifestation and also feeling depleted in the manifestation process, in the creation process. In my personal work, I like to call manifestation conscious creation. I believe that we're always creating our reality, co-creating with our surroundings, with the universe, through our thought patterns, through our behaviors, through our energy. And it's just a matter of if we're conscious in it or if we are letting our subconscious programming, determine what's happening, what's flowing through us. High achievers are used to having control in life. They're used to, and they're good at it. High performers are really good at doing the work, working in the physical realm to get things done, to map out a plan of action, to check off the plan of action, and to do the thing. Their minds are amazing at creating. What's harder is to surrender the mind, surrender the sense of personality, surrender the conditioning that I'm talking about, and open themselves up to some sort of spirit. So this video and all of my work contains elements of science and magic. So that's where, that's why my channel has its name. A lot of this particular video is going to lie more on the magic side. It's going to be how to surrender. It's going to be more esoteric, not so logical, more mysterious. So I invite you to just bear with me. If you're someone who's really logical, really analytical, I think this can be really challenging. So I want to hear from you if you're tuned in here. Is it difficult for you to let go of control? And if you're tuning in for the second time, I'm curious how the last video landed for you and if you've been able to work with the concept of surrender since that video. So if you're tuning in, feel free to write in the chat. Is it easy or difficult for you to let go of control? Hi, thanks for saying hi. So excited. Need this so bad. I struggle with the feminine side of manifesting, trusting, not micromanaging, and controlling the how. We are going to be talking about that specifically. Yeah, you're in the right place. And many people do. I mean, we live in a really, as far as masculine, feminine energies, we live in a very masculine dominated society. So we need that energy. That's a really good energy, that directive energy, that pushing forth, that taking control, that leadership. But there also needs to be this energy of, I'm also letting things release, letting them go, especially if you have a feminine essence about you, if that's your natural self. If you're missing this piece, it's going to feel amazing once you're able to find it. I have so many difficulties to let go. Yeah. Yep. Okay. Well, let's talk about it, my loves. The first thing here is nervous system safety. I think that's a big block. So if you just think about it at a core level, our nervous systems are designed to keep us safe. And if we are running from a wild animal in the woods, if we're on a hike and a wild animal's there and we're running, are we going to surrender in that moment? Is there a chance that the nervous system's going to say, just take me, my environment's safe? I trust my environment right now. I trust the universe when the wild animals like lurking around in the woods. No, there's not a chance. So that's a very basic level. But I just wanted to share it because if your nervous system's feeling wound up and tight and activated, you are going to try to control the situation. So this is where I work a lot with my clients. It's one of my areas of expertise is taking concepts of neuroscience, nervous system education, and applying it directly into body and life. I find that many high achievers and high performers have very high strung nervous systems, partly because they have a hard time modulating them. They have a hard time finding moments to rest. They believe that when they rest, they're not valuable or they're not being productive. So many of my videos are about that. So I won't speak too much about it in this particular one. The next part of this is surrender means lowering your brainwave frequency. So when we're in a state of, noting the external world, well, stress for sure, we're in a really high brainwave frequency state. But even when we're just like giving a presentation, doing some sort of like brainstorming about a big picture concept in the business or having really tuned into somebody, when we're in the external world, our brainwave frequency is higher. To surrender, to move inward, to move into more of a flow at one with the universe, brainwave frequency has to lower. That means we have to move out of our analytical mind. And that is hard for high achievers, high performers in general. There can be a really critical analytical state of mind. But this also works with modulating the nervous system. And I find that high achievers are very goal-oriented, and surrender actually takes release. And that's difficult. So the goal here is to release control with the belief that something better is on its way, something beyond you and your personality and the way that you think. It's really this big picture look at life. Like, I have this milestone, this goal I want to reach. First, asking yourself, do I want to reach the goal, or is it a goal that my parents put into my mind when I was a kid? Or is it a goal that's determined by society? Do I actually really want it? That's that's back to video 1. But once you establish something you really want, recognizing and believing that something incredible is coming, if not that you trust the universe that much. So we can definitely muscle and strive our way towards reaching our goals, these milestones, benchmarks. But I say, why not let the process unravel with ease? Why not enjoy the becoming? Not to say that hard work isn't rewarding. It totally is. Like putting your effort into something and reaping a reward, getting the prize for it, that floods a whole sort of chemistry in the body that feels good. But if you're doing that all the time, it leads to burnout. And also, I believe that you move a bit slower. If you're not working with spirit, with the unknown, with mystery, with magic, your life actually progresses slower. So this is really about working, with brain wiring. If you want to look at it from that point of view, the brain, the way it's wired, trillions of different connections, and it's wired according to everything we've experienced up until now in our life. Every conversation we've had, everything that we've seen, heard, experienced with our senses, everything we've learned. And we're used to thinking from that wiring. But when we let go of that wiring, when we lose it, when we lose our identity, when we lose our wishes, when we lose our desires, then we create more space for new neural connections to come online, to form. And then we think and we are in ways that we could never possibly imagine without that. And you have to surrender that neural wiring in order to create new pathways, at least in a quicker way. I try to affirm that I am deeply supported by my guides and the people around me. That's great. And I noticed you said I try to affirm, which is interesting. That leads me to believe you might have some wobbly energy around actually feeling that. So that's a great segue, because the first step I have in this is, what are your beliefs about the way that the universe works? So I think this is potent. Like, let's take the woo out of it, the universe, because that can be a deterrent for some people who are more analytical thinking. What about life? What are your beliefs about the way that life works, the general pictures of life? I think that this plays a huge role in how our life unfolds. Like the specific manifestations we desire are small in comparison with our general views around how we believe things unfold. So I'm going to give some examples, some helpful examples, helpful beliefs that are instilled. Everything is always working out for me. Do you believe that? That even when something happens that feels incredibly tragic, or that, like, let's say that's not incredibly tragic, but annoying, like your car stalls on the side of the road on the way to a meeting, or any sort of example where it's like inconvenience, annoyance, tragedy. Do you believe that life is always working out for you? That's a helpful belief. Like, who knows? Maybe if your car hadn't stalled on the side of the road, you would have gotten into an accident up ahead. Or maybe this puts you on a series of events to meet the right person at the right time. I have this belief. I do believe everything is always working out for me. Another good one is the universe always has my back. Life always has my back. This is a really big one too. I mean, everything's always working out for me. There's some sort of higher source, higher power that always has my back that I can lean into when I feel like I'm losing control. My natural state is love, abundance. I just have to let it in. I have to peel back the layers. I believe that at my core, at the core of the universe, we're all programmed to love, to harmony. That's at our essence. This is outside of our personalities. This is outside of our mind, outside of our egos. We just have to peel back the layers to find that. And it's actually with ease, it's with release. Some not so helpful ones, in my opinion, that I've heard. Life is unfair. How many of us have heard our parents say, life is unfair, isn't it? Like if our sibling got something and we didn't, we're like, that's not fair. They say life is unfair. There's a lot of cases that can be made where this is true, 100%. There's a lot of flaws in the way that human society has set things up. But in the natural world, in nature, which is coded with harmony, there is a harmonic flow. So fair, right? Would it be better to have a belief in your neural pathways that life is not fair and to play that out? Or would you rather choose to believe that life is flowing in harmony? You get to decide. And cases could be made either way, 100%, but what do you choose to bring into your world and what do you choose to surrender to? If you are surrendering into a life that is unfair, you're not going to let go. You're going to try to control it. It's going to be very hard to surrender. So I'm curious, again, if you're tuning in, let me know some beliefs that you might have about the universe, either really helpful or not so helpful. Another one, good things come to those who work for it. I don't think this is like bad, but also there's an implicit bias here to doing. So you have to work for something to have something good come to you, is what it says. Good things come to those who work for it. I think this is a lot where like hustle culture comes. A lot of the beliefs that arise in with the high achievers I work with the high performers, is that they don't feel worthy to just feel good without working. And so that means that they're always working to feel good, but they're depleting their nervous systems. So what about just good things come naturally? Good things come from being. Notice what happens when you sit with those words. Good things come by just being. Do you feel irritated? You might. Interesting. It's a belief. Plenty of good things happen to people who aren't doing anything for them. Another one, good things come to those who wait. And I think this one is like, why? Why good things come to those who wait? Why do we have to wait for good things? Why can't good things just come? So it's interesting when you start to just really sit and think about some of these beliefs that we operate in the universe to, this like these like big picture things. It's like, what are we surrendering into? What are we releasing? What are we yielding into? What's the flow? And I did a YouTube video about the interchange of divine masculine and divine feminine. I believe I've linked that in the description. If not, I'll add it after the live stream. But I talk about the metaphor of, I do a lot of partner dancing where there's a lead and a follow. And when I'm the follow, mostly, I try to do a little bit of leading, which isn't as natural to me. And I have to really trust the lead to be able to yield and to flow. And I feel like I'm at my best when I do trust the lead, when the lead is giving clear direction, a clear container, when they're not going to bump me into anybody else around me. And I use that metaphor to describe what are our beliefs about the universe. What universe do you believe is leading you? What sort of life do you believe is surrounding you? And how does that play a role in you being able to let go? So this is the first inquiry. What are your beliefs about life and about the universe? And we'll talk a bit about spirituality near the end of the video. I think that I have no right to make a single mistake. Otherwise, it's going to have a very bad consequence for me. Oh, so you're holding yourself up to a state of perfection. That would be a really difficult place to be. Like, you can't make a mistake. And I wonder if you love yourself in your mistakes, first of all. So how are you treating yourself when you make a mistake? And I find that when we can practice self-love for all the parts of us, the shadows, the shameful stuff, the things we're embarrassed about, then the external world, we're not as triggered with them seeing those mistakes. So that's a curiosity I have for you. I also have a curiosity of how that came through in your childhood. What happened when you made mistakes in your childhood? And can you love your inner child enough to allow your inner child to make mistakes? I had a strange moment last week. I received a big fine because I did a little mistake. Okay, so this is that belief playing out. So I panicked. I have a very robust scarcity mindset, but I decided to ask for help, even if I kind of never do. Okay, so you notice yourself panicking, which is great. Good for you. I love that. You were able to bring some conscious awareness to the part of you that is activated, your nervous system, and create a conscious awareness of that. And then notice that your scarcity mindset was acting up. So this is the first step to creating consciousness to some of these things. And then you chose to ask for help. So you chose to intercept that pattern and do something in a different way. And this is how change starts. And so I wonder how it was asking for help. You probably felt vulnerable. I don't want to project your experience onto you, but I wonder how that played out for you and how that was. So the next part of this is we often want something because we think we're going to feel a certain way once we have it. So maybe we want to work from home because we're going to feel a sense of freedom. Or maybe we want love because we're going to feel a sense of belonging. So notice why you want what you want. Oftentimes it's happiness. We must choose that feeling independent of our external conditions. So even if we don't have that around us, we choose. I choose to feel freedom right now. How? If I feel locked up by my external circumstances, I'm not feeling freedom. Okay, no, I choose to feel freedom now. I choose to notice that I can feel the freedom of my breath, that I can move my body in different ways, that I could dance in this moment, that I can go walk over to this side of the room and walk back, that there's all these ways where I can establish the feeling of freedom now and start to embody that. I'm going to give an example of going on a date. So let's say that you're looking to be married and you're going on a series of dates, and you go on a date with someone, you're sitting across from them, and it's like, yes, this is it for me. Like, it starts to go really well. Everything they're saying is checking the box. And You feel the energy flowing. You're attracted to them. And let's say within 10 to 15 minutes, you start to lean forward, 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 and your energy starts to cling. It starts to wrap itself around them. And that changes things for sure. I think they start to feel like, oh my gosh, this person like needs me. Well, what if you decide, because maybe you want marriage to be happy, right? So let's say, okay, I'm deciding to be happy no matter what. And this person can join me in that happiness and continue to spend time with me, or I'll just be over here in my happiness. And I'm so grateful that they're in front of me. You stay kind of lean back, you stay in your midline, and you are happy independent of what they decide. If they ask you for a second date, you are happy. If they don't, you know that someone else better is on their way and they are a reflection of what's coming. Think about the energy of that, like how different that is. Like none of us at our core want to be needed to fulfill someone else's happiness. That's clingy. It's a big pressure. It's unrealistic. I believe happiness comes from deep within our hearts, from the universe. And so if you think of yourself on a date with your desire, if it's not a person, if it's that dream home that you want, if it's that dream salary that you want, if it's whatever it is, you're on a date with your desire, are you clinging on to it? Are you having that kind of icky energy of like peeling your energy all over it? Or are you kind of lean back and being delightful and saying, I'm choosing the feeling no matter what, and you can join me in that feeling. And I would love for you to join me in that feeling. So this will bring us magnetism. We can become magnetic by surrendering, by leaning back, by allowing whatever to flow. It's a very feminine-based energy if you're into masculine, feminine. So the question here is, what if all the things you wanted never came true? Could you still find happiness? That's the question. Could you still find peace? What if all the things that your personality, your mind wanted never came true? Could you still find happiness and peace? Sit with that question. I invite you to do that and notice what comes up. Does sadness come up? Disappointment, anger, loss of power? All of these things are very revealing to how much we're clinging to our desires. There's an example. One of my clients, Lucy, I've done 4 live streams with her. And the very last one called Rest and Manifest, which I know I've linked below in the description. She has a point where she says, to surrender is to be okay, not being okay. I thought that was brilliant. And she really hit this state of surrender where she found this deep peace in the present moment. And all of these beautiful gifts unfolded in her life. Her business grew in a really huge way. Things happened in her personal life and it happened really quickly. But at the end of the day, she knew that if the business, had a decline, that she would still be happy. And that if things weren't okay temporarily, she would still be okay. She wasn't scared if things didn't unfold in the way that she wanted, yet she was delighted that they were. And this is not an easy embodiment to like muscle our way into. This is really something to surrender into, to open ourselves into, to be willing to feel. You could also adopt it's this or something better energy. So if this doesn't come true, then something more aligned is coming true. And trust that this is so. This is also an example of a universal belief that if the thing that I want doesn't come true, the universe has my back. Life is always unfolding for me. And this is the path I'm supposed to be on. And I trust it. I deeply, deeply trust it. I think we can think of examples of this of like, let's say that you lost a job that's familiar to you that you've had for 10 plus years. Think of how scary that is and how not okay you might feel. And think about what could come from that. Think about the blessing. Same with like a breakup, a heart-shattering breakup. Think about all that could unfold from that place, the blessings. Are you okay not being okay? Do you trust in yourself? Let's see. Okay, so back to the family example. When you asked your family for help, I asked my family, asked my friends, I asked my coach, I asked a colleague, and I asked my guides. I received lots of help. Beautiful. And I was so happy for that. So happy that I almost forgot. So I love that you asked for help and you received it. Just sit with that. Sit with that support, that feeling. It was a gift for you to ask for help and a gift for them to give to you. I even put that on my gratitude journal that I am supported. Then the day after, I received a phone call saying to me that the fine was a mistake of theirs and that I don't have to pay. I'm still mind blown and full of joy from this moment. I would love to have your thoughts about that. I mean, this is a beautiful example. I don't have many thoughts that this is a great example that the universe is working out. It's playing. That's delightful. That whole story is completely delightful. And you shifted your belief pattern, you shifted your behavior and received abundance because of that. You did something differently. And congratulations. Now, when things like this happen, goodness, I believe that writing them down and compiling them somewhere and seeing them helps. Because when we're programmed to believe that, for your other belief about if I make a mistake, then there'll be consequences. When we write down the opposite of that, when we write down and shift our focus towards goodness, towards support, then more of that shows up for us and we start to wire our brain in accordance with that belief. So I would write it down. I would remember it. I would feel it for as long as you can. Otherwise, you do start to forget it. And because we're wired towards scarcity, a lot of us, then you can start to, come back towards scarcity. I know how to lean back and surrender, but I feel like guys are going to not be interested anymore. Also, I feel a bit disconnected when I lean back. Like I don't put out energy. Oh, this is interesting. I mean, I'm not a dating coach. I do like to talk about masculine, feminine energy, but I will say from what I know about masculine, feminine energy is that it is a gift to masculine energy when you surrender. It is a gift to let go, and it is rare to find. So it makes you completely magnetic. So that's what I do know. And then the disconnection, I mean, that's just practicing a different energy. Can you keep the connection, but lean yourself back and like let the energy flow still between you. You're not disconnected. You're just not putting the energy forward. You're receiving it. So it's not about connection. It's just a different way to connect. Okay. So the third process of this is like letting the creative process be playful, letting it be delightful. And this video on the thumbnail, I put oceans of delight await. So you can show up, do the work. That's important. Do your inner work, do the reflection, and then giggle about it. Like it's not that serious. It doesn't have to be so do or die. Excuse me. Letting it be playful. Playful is a very magnetic energy. Delight is a very magnetic energy. And if we embody the energy of play and delight, our conditions will respond according to that. So what if you knew that you were destined to have everything that your soul could ever want, that was in your destiny, that no matter what you did, no matter how you showed up, that your destiny was to have everything your soul, and notice I said your soul, not your personality, could ever want. I mean, that would just it'd be playing. So when you're doing the manifestation process, it doesn't need to be so clingy, so grippy. It can be delightful. It can be fun. It can be with the energy of childlike play. What if what you wanted was actually beyond your wildest imagination, that you couldn't even conceive of what you actually want, that it's coded in your DNA, but that your personality gets in the way. So yes, you're creating these conditions. You want the car, you want the house, you want da-da-da. But deep down, what if the universe knows better than you? What if spirit knows better than you? And the act of creating is really fun. But it's also like, okay, I did the creative process. It was really fun. And now I'm just surrendering into knowing that something better is, or more delightful or is for me. And no matter what, I choose to be happy. So peel back that personality and let the soul shine. Let yourself just have fun. Fun is so magnetic. The next thing I want to talk about is the embodiment of surrender. So think of your desire. Think of the thing that you want in your life right now, and notice what sensations you feel in response in your body. So dropping your attention into your body, notice the tone and the tension in the body. Are you clenched in towards center, or are you relaxed and open? What's happening in your body? Because the body carries energy. So is your stomach clenched? Is your jaw gritted? Is your forehead clenched? Does your heart start racing? Do you have butterflies in your stomach? This is all signs of nervous system activation, of clenching, of controlling, of striving. Notice tone and tension throughout the body. Do you feel safe? Do you feel safe in relationship with your desire? I suggest, and I did a video on the embodiment of surrender, which I've also linked below. Which gets a bit more into some of this, but feel the support from the ground. Again, so the physical body can surrender into the support of the ground, rest into your backspace, actually let your body just yield. You are held. This is why it can feel so good to be held by someone else. You are held. Universe's arms are wrapped around you. What does your body do? It just exhales. Rest down into your heart so your energy can come into your heart out of the mind. And then deepen your breath. You might place your hand on your belly and breathe deeply into your hands. And it might feel hard to bring the breath into the belly, but just start. This is how we work with the nervous system. It's that inside out creation process of creating from a place deep within you. And there's really, I don't want to say no way. It's extremely difficult to surrender spiritually if the body is braced up. So this is why my approach in working with all my clients is an inside out thing. It's a embodiment first. It's from the framework of looking at what we're doing with the body, of how we're inhabiting it, and letting that inform how we're manifesting, how we're interacting with life. So that would be another step in surrender, of just notice the body. Can you find a bit of softness? Can you feel your tissues unraveling from the inside out? Can you feel your face soften? Yin yoga classes are really amazing for this. It's a style of yoga where you hold a stretch for 3 to 5 minutes at a time, and it's safe, and they're not active stretches. It's not like you're muscling in. In fact, the whole purpose is to release muscle tone and yield into connective tissue and let gravity flow through the body so that you can fall into the earth. And all sorts of things will arise when we're just completely yielding into sensation. It's intensity in a different way. It can be. Bliss can come up for sure, but it can also feel very activating because you're unraveling your tissues from the inside out. You are surrendering. You are softening. You are practicing that feminine state of being, of letting the posture do the work for you and you just being. So I highly suggest in yoga classes to practice the embodiment of letting go of control, of surrendering. I worked with plenty of high achieving, high performers who they have a really hard time just for 20 minutes surrendering and letting go. I wanted to read a quote from the book by Dr. David Hawkins, Letting Go, The Pathway of Surrender. This book completely rocked my world and shifted my reality in some really big ways. So I highly recommend it. Letting go is like the sudden cessation of an inner pressure or the dropping of a weight. I'm going to read that again. Letting go is like the sudden cessation of inner pressure or the dropping of a weight. It is accompanied by a sudden feeling of relief and lightness with an increased happiness and freedom. It is an actual mechanism of the mind, and everyone has experienced it on occasion. Relief and lightness, increased happiness and freedom. I love that so much. I practice yin yoga, feeling so aligned. Love that. And you said in relationship with your desire that your heart is racing a bit and I feel stressed. That's great information. So now you know that when you think of your desire, you're coding that feeling of activation and stress. You have a bit of angst around it. So there's not really a match into how you think that desire will make you feel. It's just good information to notice. So you could start to slow down your breath, deepen your breath, feel the ground, all those things that I offered, and then think of your desire and practice that embodiment in relationship with your vision. Choose that. Like you get to have your feeling of contentment, of peace with or without your desire. That's yours. Your external conditions are independent of that, though it's fun to create. Last thing I want to talk about is relationship to spirituality. I don't talk about God a lot. I think that our relationship to divine, to the spirit world or something greater is highly personal and sacred. But for me, in my experience, I can't talk about surrender without talking about God, about the divine. I have a very strong connection with spirituality. I always have ever since I was a little girl. Within that connection, I really like to give a lot of space for people to navigate their own connection and their own relationship to mystery, towards something greater, towards magic. Remember, this channel is science and magic. It's both. And I think, if everyone uses different words around this, but at a base level, we could look out in nature. We can look at a beautiful sunset. We can look at a gorgeous mountain range. We can look at snow falling from the sky, and we can see that there's a degree of harmony, that there's beauty, that there's something flowing through. There's an intelligence that flows through nature that is coded towards life, that is coded towards being harmony, that has evolved in that way, and that same energy flows through us, and that there's something greater than our minds, than our personalities and our conditioning. And thank goodness, because honestly, in many ways, the human mind has created a lot of inequity and a lot of horrible things, actually. I mean, the human mind is brilliant and has created a lot of beauty, but I think that when we can move out of that consciousness of the personality, of the ego, and surrender into the harmony that's all around us, whatever you want to call it, love, God, divine, if you have a religious practice, just surrendering into that, it can be like, okay, well, this holds me now. I really feel like in my life, I never remember a time when God hasn't been there for me. Ever since I've been a little girl, I felt the presence of something greater in really hard times, and then also in like incredibly joyful, connected times. And some of the best things in my life have happened when I wasn't looking for it, when I feel like I've been completely held by spirit, by something bigger. And I call these little clicks in life miracles or synchronicities. And I find that the more that they happen and the more that I notice them, the more evidence I have that they will continue to happen. So the more that I notice the delights that God brings into my life, the more I offer my gratitude for those delights, the more they show themselves. And in some of my hardest moments, I have hit the state of greatest surrender, just crying and asking God for help. And it always like shows up. God always shows up in help. It may not be in that exact moment. It may be later. But practicing that embodiment of surrender and flexing the muscle I have since I've been a little girl of yielding into the arms of this higher power. Now, in the beginning of this video, I use the term life. You can look at just how life works in general, but here I'm talking about the actual presence of a consciousness that exists beyond the human mind, that's universal, that's programmed towards love and harmony. And whatever you call that is, that is your personal choice. Or if not calling it anything at all, this is just an offering here and how I approach surrender. I love walking around mosques. I feel the atmosphere is so calm. I feel I'm into a bubble. That's beautiful. And energy is a real thing. I mean, the energetic residue of places, especially if you're sensitive, you can feel into them. And often spaces that are filled in prayer and filled in offerings of love and gratitude have an energy resonance that feels safe and protected. And that can feel really nourishing. So how I work with my clients on this is several ways in this topic of spirituality or relationship with a higher power. In relationship to the sacred vision script that is a part of this series, definitely write out your conditions, write out how they make you feel, rehearse that script, but it is essential to add what I call a surrender statement at the end of the sacred vision script. So this would be riffing on like, it's this or something better. I know that universe, you always have my back. I surrender everything to you. Flow through me. My body's a vessel for you. May I emit love and light above all else. I give my desires to you. I give my heart to you. So just kind of going on, it's some sort of like prayer or offering of like, okay, I created all of these things, from my heart, hopefully from my center. And yet you still might know better than me. And I'm going to let you maneuver. I may not know the way. I probably don't know the way. So show me the way. I'm willing to change. I'm willing to let go. I'm willing to let my eyes open to something new. Another way is look at your beliefs about the universe and change them. We talked about this earlier today. So in terms of spirituality, look at your beliefs about, I don't want to say God, because again, this is highly personal, right? But about the way that life works, about that bigger picture, and shift them so that it's something that you feel safe and you can surrender to. Like, what sort of world would you want to surrender to? And why not create it for yourself and shift your attention to all the ways that world exists? Because I believe worlds exist upon worlds upon worlds, and there's all different dimensions and realities happening right now in this time. So what are you tuning into? What are you linking into? I personally write daily letters to God. I have, again, since I was a little girl, I say, Dear Divine, Dear Spirit, Dear God. And then I just write everything I'm thankful for. I ask for help for different things. And I just let my heart guide my pen. And it's so beautiful. And for me, it helps me focus a bit more than if I were to say a prayer in my mind. If I write it, it feels like, okay, I'm just really sending something out. And I have notebooks upon notebooks upon notebooks of prayers that I've written. And it's really important to me. It's a really important practice I have. And I've offered that to some of my clients as well. And the last thing that I do is if clients get to be too clingy on their goal, if they get to be like, okay, I need this, I'm like gritting my teeth and going for it, and kind of in that old conditioning of hitting the benchmark and checking off the to-do list and trying to control the situation and having that energy of like, this has to happen. I have them just drop it. Just forget about it and go do something else. Do something else that makes them feel good. So like, go on a walk outside, or I love to go to like the sauna, go to a sauna and cold plunge, or go out to eat with friends and into your favorite restaurant. Just like drop it, just do something else. Because I think that if you're too clingy, God, the universe doesn't have space to move through you to express itself and to help you. And if you ask for help, but you don't offer any room for that help to show up, I mean, you're at a standstill with God, with the universe. So I hope that this is helpful. And let's see, a question. Did you ever go back to an old notebook to see your manifestation, or your old you forgot all the time? I love reading through my old notebooks. In fact, I have a few from the past couple of years, I'm actually going to go back to this week in honor of the new year, just kind of like taking a moment, pausing, reflecting. And it's fascinating to me to see what has come through and what has come true. And that is the power of writing things down, to remember your process and to remember that this stuff works and that there is support all around. Hi, Linda. And so I want to read, I'm actually launching a manifestation course in the new year. It's designed to be a group cohort, and I would love for you to join. And one of the reasons I launched these videos is to show kind of the framework of how I work with clients and introduce my work in that way. If you don't want a group setting, I do offer this work private coaching. But I want to read a quote from one of the clients who went through this program with me. So when I started this program, I was in a space where I was just starting to wake up from an almost haze-like state that I felt I was in. I graduated from college just a few months prior, and I really had no idea what that entailed. I was so used to having everything planned out for me and felt like I had gotten spun out of a tornado of school, and I was now floating in this vast void space, unsure of where to go next. I mean, I remember that about school too, about graduating from college, like just so focused on each semester, focused on the GPA, focused on A, B, C, and D. And then you get, you graduate and you're like, now, okay, wait, what? My whole life has been planned out for me. Now what? And that's just an emulation of how you could feel in your work or when you start to wake up to your soul. Okay, going on. I felt like I didn't have control of my life, and I didn't really know what my purpose really was. I was just coming into a mindset where I started to realize I needed to start doing a lot of inner work. Currently, after completing the program, I am living in a reality that I wouldn't have imagined a year ago. I now trust my soul purpose and know that no matter what happens, this is who I am at my core. If it wasn't for this program and the tools I gained from it, I know that this wouldn't have been the case. My soul is lit up with excitement, and I'm emotionally ready to start living the life I've always dreamed of. We have to be emotionally ready. Otherwise, once those conditions come to us, we'll freak out. We start to self-sabotage. And this is where having a container, having a coach, having a group, having friends, having loved ones around you that see you for you and that can walk you through this process and that can hold that container for you can be so, so valuable. So if that's you and if my energy and my work resonates with you, please do reach out. I've included the link to the program. I have my email below, my website below. And you can set up a connection call with me and we can just talk a little bit more about it. But this is my soul aligned work. This is what I love to do. I love working with people to soothe their nervous systems and to align them more with their hearts so that this world can be a more aligned place. I think it starts, person by person. And if we all are expressing the energy that we're here to express, we're going to live in a more loving, harmonic world. And it is just my greatest delight to do it. So please do reach out if that's of interest to you and if that piques a resonance in you. And definitely give this video a like, give a comment. All of those things help me to know that I'm offering valuable content. And I love hearing from you so much. It inspires me to create more content. I'm going to try to start live streaming more in the new year. And I just want to thank you so much for being here. Thank you for interacting with me and for tuning in and being interested about how to be conscious creators of your life. I think that this channel is amazing and I feel so lucky to be here. I am going to head out. But I am wishing you all the most nourishing, beautiful, blessed new year. I hope that this coming year brings you so much vitality. And yeah, I'll see you soon. Goodbye.